Part 2. Camera Specification. My dear friends, today I will show you extraordinary photography and videography done by Xiaomi 13 Pro flagship phone. This video is made in 3 parts. This is part 2 of video series. Here I am explaining about camera specification. First part is about hardware specifications, MIUI 14. Third part is about camera app use. Recently, myself and my 2 friends visited many Mumbai tourist places like Gateway of India, Juhu Beach, Taj Hotel, CST area, Bao Cha Dhaka, Nehru Science Center, Haji Ali, Jahangir Art Gallery. We have clicked many photos and videos of these tourist places. All photos and videos are exceptional, like professional camera. Xiaomi has done good work by launching this Xiaomi 13 Pro phone. Camera introduction. In terms of camera capabilities, the Xiaomi 13 Pro truly shines. With its Leica Vario Summicron 1.1.9, 2.2, 14-75 ASPH lens, you can capture stunning photos with ease. The 1-inch main camera with a 50-megapixel sensor size ensures high quality and detailed photos. The phone also supports various camera features like HDR, Pro Mode, and Night Mode, allowing you to capture perfect shots in any lighting condition. In conclusion, the Xiaomi 13 Pro is a masterpiece in the world of smartphone imaging. With its professional optics, impressive camera capabilities, and powerful performance, it is the perfect device for creating your own masterpieces. Whether you're a professional photographer or simply someone who loves taking photos, the Xiaomi 13 Pro is sure to impress. The Xiaomi 13 Pro is an impressive smartphone that embodies Xiaomi's imaging philosophy. It features professional optics, emotive imaging aesthetics, and the full Leica experience, making it a masterpiece in the world of smartphone imaging. There's no doubt that the camera system is the main event on the 13 Pro for a few reasons. First, it features a triple camera system made up entirely of 50-megapixel sensors. Xiaomi has collaborated with Leica for the launch of Xiaomi 13 Pro. It has Leica 50-megapixel 1-inch primary camera and is accompanied by 50-megapixel 75mm floating telephoto camera and 50-megapixel ultra-wide camera. The camera island ramps up seamlessly from the rear panel and it has minimal lines separating the 3 lenses. It's also got the subtle Leica branding on it as an indicator to confirm that Xiaomi worked with the iconic camera company on its optics. It's classy as heck. Most notable design change, the camera housing at the back, is of the volcano-like type, slowly evolving from the back panel towards the camera glass. It looks fine on the Xiaomi 13 Pro. The Leica branding hints at its premium quality. And because it is gigantic, the 13 Pro does not wobble when used on a flat desk. The camera island is the only thing of interest on the back, and it's huge. The 50-megapixel zoom camera is first at the top left corner, and next is the 50-megapixel ultra-wide shooter. The 50-megapixel primary camera is below, just before the Leica logo. The island also houses the laser emitter and receiver for the laser-assisted autofocus and the dual LED flash. The primary camera uses a 50-megapixel 1-inch sensor. Then we have a 50-megapixel telephoto for 3.2x optical magnification and telemacro purposes. And finally, there is a 50-megapixel ultra-wide camera with AF capabilities, though they use different sensors and lenses. All lenses were allegedly developed to be up to Leica's standards, and there are 2 Leica color profiles to choose from when taking photos. Ultra-wide camera with a new 50-megapixel sensor, and the telephoto camera gets another 50-megapixel sensor sitting behind a 75mm lens for both 3.2x optical zoom and macro photography, as it can focus from as close as 10 centimeters away. There are all sorts of video capturing options, including Dolby Vision recording. It's reasonably rare to have very high-resolution sensors for anything other than the main sensor, and even more rare to have 50 megapixels for a telephoto lens. Both the additional lenses put in a great performance, although, unsurprisingly, in lower light conditions, they're not quite as good as the 1-inch main sensor. As with many modern smartphones, the Xiaomi 13 Pro is capable of recording video at up to 8K, with 24 FPS available at that resolution. The average user is far more likely to use 4K, up to 60 FPS, or Full HD, also up to 60 FPS. A slew of other video options including slow motion, up to 1920 FPS, night video, video pro mode, and a tracking mode are also available. The Xiaomi 13 Pro delivers fantastic image quality in a wide range of shooting situations, making it a good competitor to some of the other best smartphones for photography, such as the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra and the iPhone 14 Pro. Leica primary main camera, 50 megapixel, 1-inch sensor. The Xiaomi 13 Pro's primary camera features a big 1-inch Sony IMX989 sensor co-engineered with Leica. This is the biggest camera sensor ever on a smartphone. The large sensor size helps in capturing more light and results in detailed images. In turn, means that each pixel is larger than the typical, and that's great news for photography enthusiasts because it means better low-light performance and less noise in general. 1-inch sensor concept. It's not the actual sensor size, but a legacy concept that refers to the diameter of the video camera tube needed to project an image that would cover the size of the sensor. The 50.3 megapixel Sony IMX989 sensor is the largest sensor available on a smartphone with 1.6 individual pixels and quad-Bayer RGB color filter. The sensor sits behind a 23mm f1.9 stabilized 8-element lens with aspherical elements with hyper-OIS stabilization. The sensor features Octa-PD autofocus, Sony's dual-pixel implementation for quad-Bayer sensors. Comparing all three lenses, it's clear this main camera is the best of the lot from looking at the overall image quality. Images have a really authentic quality to them. Details and textures look clean without any excessive over-sharpening that we've seen on a lot of smartphones recently. Pairing with Leica lenses and working with the iconic camera company has clearly helped Xiaomi here. In low light, the main camera does a great job of lifting light and delivering an image without excessive, distracting noise in the shadows. Primary camera is clearly the strongest camera of the three, but that's really only clearly visible when you move into extreme low-light situations. Night mode, for example, is a real struggle when you don't have a good amount of street-building lighting to work with. In the lowest light situations, the primary works really well, pulling in a lot of light from all parts of the image, sometimes leaving you with a shot that doesn't look like it's a night mode shot at all. On the plus side, you don't get lots of blur. The details you can see are generally sharp and in focus, with no motion blur. As for video performance, you get lots of power here. The phone can film Dolby Vision content at 4K 60 FPS, giving you sharp, smooth content with deep contrast, wide color support, and bright peaks. If you're just after the highest resolution video, you can shoot at 8K, but you don't get Dolby Vision recording at that level. Dolby Vision is a technology created by Dolby Laboratories for producing, distributing, and playing back high dynamic range, HDR, videos. Highly detailed videos with extraordinary brightness, color, contrast, and detail. As we'd expect, the main sensor performs the best, producing images which are nicely detailed and have a good level of punchy color, particularly if you shoot with the Leica Vibrant setting. Sometimes the authentic setting can err a little on the dull side, although it's fair to say that the Vibrant setting is perhaps a bit much for bright blue skies on occasion. One of the standout features of the Xiaomi 13 Pro is its 1-inch ultra-large sensor and 75mm floating telephoto lens. This allows for incredible details and the ability to capture stunning photos even at a distance. With the Leica Professional Optical Lens System, you can now experience complex and sophisticated optics previously only found in traditional photography. Leica 50mm 75mm floating telephoto camera. The telephoto camera uses a 50mm Samsung S5K JN1 1x2.76 sensor with tetracell filter and 0.64 pixels. It offers 3.2x optical zoom over the main camera via a 75mm f2.0 Leica floating lens. Optical stabilization is present on this camera too. The interesting bit is that it has a close focusing distance of just 10 centimeters. And that's why the telephoto also acts as a super macro camera too. Telephoto camera also saves 12.5 mm by default, and those are great with plenty of resolved detail, top-notch sharpness, well-cleaned noise, and lovely rendition. This is for the first time that there is Leica 75mm floating telephoto lens. DSLR-level internal focus technology in mobile camera, it is equipped with a Leica 75mm floating telephoto lens. When the lens group near sensor moves forward, the focus distance can be infinite. This setup is great for portraits with depth. And when lens group moves back, the focus distance can be as short as 10 cm, perfect for close-up shots, even of small details like cat eyes, insect hair, flowers, etc. The primary camera is joined by what Xiaomi calls a floating telephoto camera, which enables you to zoom in just over 3x with optical zoom and a focus range from as close as 10 centimeters to infinity. In short, you can zoom in close without losing detail and be able to focus on objects even when they're fairly close to the camera. You can zoom up to 70x digitally, but obviously the detail falls off considerably by the time you reach the upper limits, but even up to about 10x or, at a push, 20x zoom, the images are still more than usable. The telephoto camera boasts a 75mm equivalent focal length and is described as floating. The lens module moves backwards for close-up shots and forwards when required for portrait work. With this lens, you can shoot as close as 10 centimeters away from the subject. The zoom camera also doubles as a macro shooter. Thanks to its floating lens, it's able to focus from as close as 10 centimeters away. And the close-ups shot with the telephoto are outstanding. They are the sharpest ones we've seen lately, with outstanding rendition, excellent detail, and easily likable vivid colors. The dynamic range is often spectacular too. Leica 50-megapixel ultra-wide camera, 115°. The ultra-wide camera relies on the same 50-megapixel Samsung S5K JN1 sensor as the zoom one, but it's coupled with a 14mm f2.2 lens. There is support for autofocus, but as we said, the super macro mode uses the telephoto camera. If you want close-up macro shots, 5 cm, it uses the ultra-wide lens to good effect, giving you the ability to get right up close to subjects and get a sharp image with lots of depth, detail, and background blur. The ultra-wide lens is also equipped with macro capabilities, this time allowing you to get as close as 5 cm to the subject, but with a completely different angle of view. These two functions together make the 13 Pro one of the best smartphones for macro currently on the market. Moving on to the ultra-wide camera. Its photos also come from a 50-megapixel sensor and are saved in 12.5-megapixel resolution. And unlike on the other cameras, here, both Leica Vibrant and Authentic photos look identical. The photos offer accurate colors, good contrast, and high dynamic range. The rendition is natural-looking, even when it comes to foliage and similar random detail. Overall, the ultra-wide camera offers solid performance and delivers excellent photos with, well, ultra-wide field of view. Front camera 32-megapixel in-display selfie camera. It has a 32-megapixel 1x3.14-inch OmniVision OV32C sensor with 0.7 micron pixels and a 4-cell filter array, OV's Quad Bayer. Wider 21mm f2.0 lens versus 25mm f24 on the Ultra. The focus is still fixed. Even the selfie camera performs well, although, as usual, not as strong as the rear cameras. It's always more convenient and easier to use your selfie cam to shoot yourself, but if you have a little time, it's well worth using the portrait lens effects to take photos of yourself or other people. There's a richness, detail, and depth of field you just can't really get from the front camera, even in its portrait mode with the background blur. On that note, it's smart enough that it rarely misses on edge detection, so when you do use it, you're not left with unnatural-looking separation between the foreground subject and the background. The 32-megapixel selfie camera on the Xiaomi 13 Pro uses a quad-buyer sensor. It saves 32-megapixel pictures instead of 8-megapixel, which makes the situation worse. Xiaomi used a wider 21mm lens, and you have 0.8x and 1x crop zoom levels. The full resolution of 32 megapixel means the detail will be rather average. And it is, indeed. You can almost tell those looked like upscaled from the 8-megapixel images. Everything else is superb, though. Contrast, dynamic range, and color presentation. The subject is rendered well and in a natural way, and the noise is low. Camera specifications: 8K 7680 by 4320, video recording at 24 FPS 4K 3840 by 2160, video recording at 24 FPS, 30 FPS, or 60 FPS, ultranight video up to 4K at 24 FPS, video pro mode, slow mode. Hope you liked this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Your one like and subscribe encourages us. If you keep us going, we will get inspiration to make new videos. Jai Hind, Namaste, see you soon with some new unique videos. Video recording and